I was thinking about something.
Talk to me.
So, like, I'm pretty agnostic when it comes to like how we distribute resources, right? Like, I'm kind of in the camp that like if it works, then do it. Like, do what works. Like, it doesn't have to be like all capitalism. It doesn't have to be all socialism, whatever, right? Like, it should be whatever creates the best platform for human like growth and happiness possible, right? And as a society, we should be working towards that. Now, I was thinking about something that certain people say, certain rich people say about like universal basic income, which I'm a supporter of, right? They go, or like even not even universal basic income, but like a really substantial social safety net, even at the level of like Canada, which isn't perfect either, right? And they go like, if we give people too much, they're not going to want to work. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, you think about that for 5 minutes, and that's like the most messed up thing to say. Like they're essentially saying like, in order for our businesses, like in order for our business model to be effective, people have to have the right amount of like suffering. People have to be like just poor enough to be desperate enough to work for us. And if they're not, we won't be able to hire anybody.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is that just crazy? Is that crazy to anybody else but me? Like, I don't, that sounds like nuts.
Sounds like a good setup. Just to give you just enough to keep you in a position where, you know, you still need from them, you know, it's very, very, very fascinating. Kind of jump into that thought process today. Just, you know, how I was feeling this week, especially talking about,
you're kind of who I thought about, like corporations kind of screwing people. Yeah.
Yeah, to kind of add to that thing, it's just, I guess the fear of people had choice. I think it's a way of justifying the way kind of businesses are run now. Mm-hmm. They have to, I don't know, like I know one thing with, let me just bring up like scarcity, which is just kind of a fascinating thing. I'm like chronically in the industry that I work, it's chronically short staffed. And I'm like, how? You know, part of it I know is due to people not being paid adequately.
Yeah.
It's always interesting that they can find budgets for, say in the case of my industry, they'll always find like temp workers that they can kind of hire in at a higher rate, by the way, because they come through an agency.
Yeah.
And I'm like, so how do you justify paying more money knowing that we need more bodies, you know, here more regularly and stuff. So it's just interesting that they kind of create these desperate points, give you only raises just enough to kind of keep you feeling better emotionally, but you're still kind of essentially in the same position, you know, considering that cost of things go up, you know, constantly with inflation and everything. So, yeah, I hate it.
But it's almost like we all bought into it, right? Like everybody, like across like the political spectrum, for the most part, kind of bought into that whole idea. Like, just like you run a risk of people thinking like, oh, you're lazy, like you don't want to work, right? So it's hard to put these two ideas together that they do. They go like, we need work because it gives people pride. Like people have pride in work. Right. But if people have too much, they're not going to want to work. Like, doesn't make sense to me. Like if work brings you pride, right? If work brings people pride, wouldn't people want to do some type of work regardless of if they have free healthcare or like, you know, enough money at the end of the month to pay rent and to eat? And like me, like I'm even beyond that. Like I'm like, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was going to add another P to it is just purpose.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of companies kind of like the whole working class model is based on kind of you work to find purpose in life, you know, which I've had to have a mantra against that, you know, just that I'm not what I do, who I am is how I do it.
Yo, they're straight up gaslighting us, bro. Like they're really like just gaslighting us as a society with all that.
For sure.
It's crazy. Like, think about it for 10 minutes and it makes no sense. But yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
No, no. It's just I think a lot of that identity, like you think about part of it as you were saying that I was thinking about how um, we're not really given any alternative dreams or concepts of how to live.
Yeah.
Besides just we've all heard the saying or the model of just find a good job. When you grow up, find a good job. And buy a home, raise your family. Like it's just kind of almost like it's scripted.
Yeah.
The way we're supposed to go about the process of growing up seems to just be in a way where it's just here's kind of the path. So how does one dream outside of a situation they've never seen a better version of?
It's like it. Yeah, that's crazy. Like, how does one dream about a situation they've never seen? I mean, I don't think inherently there's nothing wrong with telling people like, learn a skill, be a benefit to society, get a family. I think, honestly, I think that's a message that like the right kind of hijacked that message. I think it's kind of disingenuous given that, the right has the same issues that we do on the left when it comes to like, and like everybody has these infidelity and all types of stuff. The birth rate is going down. I think less in certain conservative demographics, but I mean in general it's going down. But it seems to me like I'm thinking. I kind of always thought this way, but it kind of like accelerated during COVID. Like a lot of people weren't working, right? And the government was cutting them checks. And I don't remember a time where I saw more people like starting businesses, like doing like interesting things. Like obviously there was a lot of depression, but that was mainly to boil down to the fact that you weren't able to see people. But I don't think people lost purpose because they couldn't, go to work. I don't, it didn't. It seems to me like the COVID lockdowns was like a pretty good test bed for like saying that the government can spend money to support people, and it proves the point that people are searching for purpose in life, but it doesn't have to be like backbreaking labor. And I think that even if it was back, and it's not it. And honestly, like I don't think it'd be as big of a problem if work was if a job was even enough nowadays for most people. Like a lot of us, like in our group, we know a lot of people that are professionals, college educated. They have jobs where they can make a decent income, but for the most part, like most people aren't like they work 40 plus hours and they don't have enough at the end of the month, and then you expect those people to swallow this idea that all you have to do is work hard and you can attain the American dream. Like that's not a we know that calculation for a lot of people. I mean, was it always a myth? Like, I mean, for that what? Yeah.
I mean, how deep we gotta go?
Yeah, yeah.
I think that's just
yeah.
Working harder does not mean more.
Yeah.
And we see that. I mean, I even have like, some coworkers who are just even disincentivized from like even overtime. You get taxed differently previously. I mean, I know tax codes constantly changing. I know things are changing a little bit about the overtime policies and whatnot, but historically it's just been like you work a ton extra overtime and then they tax the hell out of it. So it's just like the extra stress that you put on your body in order to get an extra paycheck costs you time as well as energy, time away from your family, a bunch of, processes that you'd have to, it's a give and take. You give up all this extra and you don't really get that much in return. So I know some people have done some pushback on that. And like, I prefer not to work overtime and just the hours, my 40 hours allotted if they're full time there.
Yeah.
And just kind of bounce after that because it's not really worth it. but yeah, the myth of the harder work is, yeah, I think a lot of us are becoming disillusioned by that concept there. So
Mm. So you're like one of my more left leaning friends, right? I'd consider
centrist, but where's the left? Who knows? I'm left of wherever we are right now for sure.
these terms mean nothing nowadays, right?
I know. It's all yeah.
Compared to me, I would say you're yeah. Compared to me, I would say you're left of me, right? In some cases, I think maybe not. I don't know. We agree on a lot. We agree on a lot.
I'm always in flux. I'm never grounded in a specific. I never put roots in any specific ideological position or political. I'm still like a student of life. I'm still learning about a lot of stuff.
Well, I consider myself on the questions. I consider myself on the left, but according to like people like really far on the left, I'm essentially like a right wing Republican because I voted for Kamala. Which is crazy. How dare I? How dare I? But like, I know I'm the political friend, right? But I'm always curious as to like how my other friends who might not be as into the weeds as I am, like what solutions, if any, have you thought about when it comes to like solving this like work-life income balance issue?
So solution, I mean, I can give my own personal approach, I guess, as my only example for the solution. And I mean, it's still in flux right now as I learn more, I'm able to navigate a little better. And mentorship, I think, is really important to have somebody who knows more than you when it comes to the way finances work and just, having like a good accountant on your team, possibly if you're blessed to have, be in a position to have lawyers or any financial planners, if you can line yourself up with certain people that they start to open your mind to other possibilities. But the approach I've had, first, I guess my best decision was to have a partner that is, equally like we're able to push one another, help refine one another's like thoughts and ideas about, what it is to live in this society, in this country, and kind of like navigating how to do that. So a lot of the planning, I think, started really early with choosing a great partner. My wife has been phenomenal in this journey, just in partnership here, with coming up with decisions. So with us having very similar minds, but also approaching things from different angles, we just wanted a life that provided, time with our family. Family is very important. So before we even had kids, it was like planning kind of when we'd have kids. And we're blessed to actually be able to be viable to even have children around the time we plan. So I'll definitely count that as a blessing. But just a lot of the way we approach it is just, I'm mostly monetarily conservative. That's probably usually the only time I'd ever use the term.
What does that mean? Okay, I want to put a pin on that because I hear that a lot from people that say like, well, I am socially liberal, but I am fiscally conservative. And I don't know what that means, and I'm not putting you, I am actually putting you on the spot to explain it.
I mean, but and I'll explain my perspective of like fiscal conservative, positioning there is it's more of I think it's a substitute for like risk averse versus more risk tolerant, right? That's at least the way I use it, where I'm not going to invest in things unless I kind of have a lot more history with it. Like I'm slower to make a quick decision on a monetary transaction. Has to be painted pretty clearly for me, and which essentially leads into kind of how we've approached our money. I'm more of a saver. So less risk averse, trying to open up for more opportunity, realizing that we still have time on our side for compounding interest to work in our favor for certain things. But I'm not one to like start a business, for instance. That to me feels like it's just not part of my DNA, nor my wife's, to be like, let's start a business, because that to me feels the most risky financially.
As you're talking to probably your friend with the most most, I guess, tolerance for risk on
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
On that,
Like
part.
we are completely like we think the same on everything.
Yeah.
And then when you were like, "Yo, I'm about to do this and I'm gonna do this thing," and I was like, "Not me." I said, "Not me."
Yeah.
That is so against my natural grain.
Yeah.
You know, I'd be going so against the grain
Mm-hmm.
to do something like that. And you know, I celebrate you and encourage you all the way, because it's like you're doing something that's so like I could never even conceptualize doing. And part of it is just that, like, how am I going to feed my family? How am I going to do this? Like, and I also just know a formula that works. I have something that works.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't change that. But like those basic things of just work, save, very safe investments, you know, your 401ks, your Roths, you know, setting up your little IRAs. That to me is just kind of less risk tolerant there, you know, just more safe vehicles, you know, get a house. As I said, invest in your retirement, get your match at work, just basic stuff.
So I'm just going to interrupt you.
Economists.
I'm just going to interrupt you just so we can move the conversation along a little bit, because you already said a bunch of stuff that I kind of want to dig into. And the brunt of it for me is a lot of what you describe comes from the fact that I know you were always like this. Even when we were younger,
personality.
you had this personality. You're, you know, not to get too deep into your personal family matters, but you know, I know for you, you've seen people run businesses and you know, had the finances to support their family in different ways. It might not have been perfect, but you've had examples in your life that a lot of people may have not. You know, you're also college educated. You know, you were lucky enough to find someone early, right? And I think part of the problem is that you are becoming more and more an endangered species, right? Even me, like, I'm able to take certain risks because, you know, I found somebody that's, you know, that I'm married to, and I'm able to possibly absorb some risk through that, you know, more than others. And there's a lot of people in our society that's like just lonely, you know, social media and like, you know, people's addiction to that rush of getting likes or whatever it may be, kind of like,
that dopamine
fix. You know, they say there's a loneliness epidemic, and I think especially on our side of the political spectrum, I think that we tend to not put a priority on building families. Again, I think like the right has kind of hijacked that message. I think marriage is important. And I'm not even talking like one man, one woman. I'm talking about whatever unit you want, as long as it's a unit of more than one person working together, right? Like, gay marriage, straight marriage between, you know, cis men and a trans woman, whatever it may be, adoption, like growing a family, having a partner is honestly the cheat code. And I wonder if it's ever going to be possible for us to kind of evangelize that message on the left. You know, because I mean, there is a lot that comes with that. There's a lot of baggage that comes with it. That like for generations, marriage was a way to kind of perpetuate, you know, the patriarchy, right? Like women weren't allowed to like take loans and stuff like that. Whatever, right? Like that's all true. But at the same time, you cannot deny that there is an advantage to that, you know, form of partnership.
And I think to expand on that, you know, as you're talking, I'm just really thinking about how like the family unit is probably like the smallest community anybody can have, like even starting at just like a partnership like that, you know, I would almost argue that where there's, you know, like where there's a relationship between two individuals that are aligned with certain processes and work together towards a goal. I think at its base level, that's like where community starts. And I think the cheat code I think marriages have, especially in a partnership where like it's working, where they work together, I think is like the most basic unit of community, like the first block
Yeah.
that allows. And I think maybe even like defining, like I know we're talking about marriage here, but arguably couldn't bigger like groups of individuals. I know there's laws that are built for marriage that give advantage to that just because of the Judeo Christian kind of morals that this country was founded on. But like
Yeah.
marriage as that individual block, I think is dope. But like I think expanding from there, if talking mainly speaking to the effect of the loneliness epidemic going on, I think just more people finding community and relations with others. I'd love to see even just bigger groups of people being together to put monetary assets together and work towards bigger goals. I think that also might just be kind of thinking outside the box of even just like the marriage unit, but like just
Yeah. No, I think you're right. I think even beyond
be 3 people, 4.
even beyond that marriage, I think you're right. Even beyond marriage, like just putting a like we're like I it took me a while to realize this, right? But people like us are really lucky. Like we have friends, right? We have
For sure. Yeah, absolutely.
like we have family beyond family. We have family that we aren't blood related to. Like I can call, like if I'm feeling a type of way, right? And I'm if I didn't have you guys, bro, like that'd be because I it's hard enough for me to express how I feel anyways, even with y'all.
Yeah. Yep.
But if I didn't have y'all, like I don't even know what it would be, or but there's a lot of people that don't have that. And it's like and I think this relates to what we're talking about, like just quality of life, like
Absolutely.
having a quality of life, whether it's economically, but not just economically, but socially. And I think that like society, like we've failed on that in so many ways. And I think you can trace a lot, like even us electing, even Trump getting elected on the back of like the manosphere and like all this resentment towards women in society and stuff like that may not have been as easy for him to do if people actually interacted with each other again, like instead of seeing each other as characters online, right? Like the algorithm is pushing this narrative about each other to each other. And instead of that, if there were like actual like social engagement between people, like, and we saw each other as human, I think that would have that's probably like the number 1 or 2 goal we should have as a society. And I think that the left, I really wish and hope that the left can become kind of like the pushers of that agenda, right? Like a family first, friend first, social first agenda doesn't have to have like this Judeo-Christian tint to it. It could just be, us looking for a better way to live. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah. Yep. No, and I'm just thinking about how like there's no examples of this, right? Like, so this has to be something created because historically, has there ever been a society to do that?
I think so.
Thinking historically. I
think there are plenty of societies that do it in different ways. I think America, there's like 2 times America was born, right? And with that, like an idea of what it meant to be American. Well, maybe more than twice, but 2 main times, right? It was like, after the revolution, we created this new country and it was all about expanding West and, growing this society, whatever. Right. And then after the Civil War, it really changed into something else, right? Like the federal government was much more powerful. I think that resentment politics came to the forefront where like creating a boogeyman, whether it's black men taking over, like taking white women away, whatever, like, was kind of on the forefront, like creating like an enemy. But along with that, you know, you started creating like this idea of what American is, like being American is, like this idea of rugged individualism. Like all this was manufactured, right? All of this was kind of in a way to kind of create a pride in America that might have been destroyed in some ways after the Civil War. And when I say pride, I mean pride among like white men. You know, World War II, World War I and World War II, I think was another moment. So it might more than twice, but like this idea,
multiple times.
yeah, this idea of rugged individualism, like capitalism over socialism, all of these things are kind of manufactured because they don't really reflect reality, but they're ideas that we kind of apply to what it means to be American. And America, at least for the better part of a century, has been kind of like the driving force of social ideas across the world, right? Like there might be different versions of it, but America had a real big influence. With that being said, you have like, I know people on the left always point to like European countries as an example. You know, European countries are still capitalist societies, right? But they may put more of a premium on like the social safety net. Some societies may put more of a premium in like pushing for like the family unit. It's out there. It exists. It's just that here we're competing with ideas that have kind of exemplified what it meant to be American for, again, over 100 years.
Yeah.
You know, hard work, pull yourself out from your bootstraps. All of these things were just, some of them, a lot of them were created in a corporate boardroom. Like you see Mad Men, the influence of advertisement, the need to sell products, all of that's kind of formed our society in a lot of interesting ways, and a lot of things that we see as sacrosanct, like a lot of things that we deem as like naturally American was actually manufactured. And so it's not that we're trying, and that's the frustrating part, is because it's not like we're trying to change a system that's baked into human nature. We're trying to change a system that was just manufactured, and it's hard because people have kind of made it their social religion. I hope that makes sense. You know, what do you think about that?
So much to unpack. But yeah, I know that the propaganda of like Hollywood reselling this image and this message, you know, through commercials or through movies or whatever. I mean, it's kind of created the image of what the American dream should, at first I should say could and should look like. You know, the white picket fence, the dog in the yard, the whatever. You know, we've all seen all the movies from, you know, 70s, 80s, 90s. And yeah, so it is interesting that this thing has been so intentionally manufactured, crafted in a way to kind of sell this thing. And I think that's part of the illusion that we've all been kind of under, or, you know, where we started at the beginning of our conversation, essentially just kind of why society is the way it is.
Yeah.
And what are some ideas to help change that? Thinking outside the box, having really, I guess, yeah, it's just really telling a better story or another story of how community can look, and to combat all these things. I feel like human nature really, I think we want to have connection with other people. I think that is human nature. You know, we're talking about we're lucky to have like a friendship and partnership, you know, and with our wives, and just have had a college education. All these things that we've been fortunate to have should be like basic human standard, you know, even bringing back up that universal basic income. there's a social safety net that should be provided for everyone that
Mhm.
would allow us all to live a better life,
Yeah.
to live a more purpose filled life in that sense. You know, even I'm going to jump back even to when you're talking about COVID and what it kind of showed us during that period is yeah, I just remember as an example in my own household, we found a YouTube video and the kids wanted to learn how to do the Rubik's Cube, and all five of us like were learning how to do that. You know, I call it like just the hashtag COVID skills era. And I mean, my oldest still knows how to do the like. I think he has like 3 or 4 different algorithms he can do on the Rubik's Cube. But that was one thing. My wife ended up having time to do art
Mm.
during that period. So I mean, we got kind of like a little mini version of what life could look like. It gave us an example of like maybe we need to have a period of time every year just where we just have a break, like holidays. You know, the whole government is like, hey, everyone gets 2 weeks off,
Yeah.
just period. All companies just take a break. Everyone, CEOs go to bed, go on, but everyone just has, and it's paid for
Mhm.
through the American dollars. Like there's funds for it for us all to have provided to enjoy 2 weeks,
Yeah.
like at least, and that's like 2 weeks out of 52. You know, it sucks that even during like Christmas holiday, you know, I don't necessarily care to celebrate Christmas itself, but it's just like the time that the kids are off of school, you can't even be home. Like you're home Christmas Day because assuming you're not working that day, if you're not in an industry that has that day off, you may even be, you know, if you're working in the hospital or whatever, you may have to work that shift. But it's like you can't even get 2 weeks off with your kids during their holiday.
Yeah.
You still got to work. Like I'll be off on Christmas Day, but I got to work the day before and the day after. Just yeah, part of that I think would make a better quality of life as a whole if you know we just have policies that are created to yeah let us be more human and have more time with family. It's crazy that we preach family is so important in this country, but we provide nothing to help them.
Yeah. That's crazy.
You know, we fight for babies being born, and then we kind of don't want to do anything after they're here.
Yeah.
Just that duality that you hear throughout, you know, this binary conversation. You know,
It,
life I think is in the grays.
you know,
It's never on one end or the other.
listening to you puts a realization in my head. Like I feel like the left needs to stop telling people they're right and learn how to craft better stories. Because at the end of the
For sure.
day, everything that America believes is based on a narrative.
Mhm.
And if we can distill our political ideology into a compelling story, like don't tell people UBI is important. Tell a story around why UBI
Correct.
can kind of make the American experience better, right? Like I love that story that like having more time with your family, having the ability to grow a family, like learning new hobbies, right? I think happier people are fulfilled people. And saying that if we give people too much, they're not going to work proves that we aren't happy people. We are miserable, hardworking people that at the end of the day are beholden to millionaires and billionaires. Instead of us being all one family working towards a goal, right? I think that's vital. I
Yeah.
think that you know, let's stop being annoying and let's start being compelling.
Yep.
With that being said, my brother,
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
I'm gonna
I like it.
end this conversation because my mom just reminded me that she cooked food and I gotta go see my family.
Hey, let's go. Let's go.
But I love you.
Thanks for carving out some time for me. You already know. Love you, bro.
Yeah, man.
Appreciate the time carved.
And before I let you go, is there any like one last word you want to leave with the people?
I mean, we have more in common than we have different. Literally, we have about 99.9% of the same stuff we all want. You know, if you're a family member, if you're a parent, if you're whatever, like we just want to know that our families are safe. We just want to make sure that we have clean water, a roof over our head, food. We all have the same basics. Doesn't matter what side of this in pretend binary political system we have. We all actually want more things in common than we don't. It's just the one or two little issues that I won't call them little issues, but I'll just say that there's usually just a handful of things that we can disagree on, which it's okay. It's okay to disagree.
Yeah.
Just know I still got love for you and I want the best for you and your children, you know? Yeah, that's where it is. Just all love.
Perfect.
That's fine. Stop fighting on that horizontal plane and focus on what's really keeping us all oppressed. And on that note, I'm good.
All right, brother. We'll talk later.
Yes, sir.
All right, peace.
All right, man. Yeah. I want to see what we got to eat.
Yeah. You know, we got something.
All right.
All right.
Bye.